Here is one of my favorite parts of the course, which is exploring framework motion out a little bit. Framework motion is probably one of the most popular packages that React has. It allows you to do page transitions, component animations. You can toggle, when you toggling components in and out, you can fade them in, animate that as well. You can do scroll-based animations. It's just absolute insanity, the flexibility that this library gives you. So we're going to be using this to basically animate our nav, our carton, and navigate it out, fading elements in and fading elements out. So I'm going to take you step by step by what this library can do for you. But look at that. There's just so much. You can do dragging. Yeah, they have a bunch of examples here that you can experiment. See scroll-based animations as well. Yeah, I'll take you through the basics of it right now. So let's head back to our code, close everything up so it's nice and clean. Collapse everything as well. First step is closing our server and npm installing framer-motion. Hit enter. Let's get cracking. Okay, so let's hit npm run dev again. Everything should be up and running. We can close this up, hit refresh. So let me just give you a quick example here. Let's say I want to animate this add to cart. So how do I do that? Well, we can go over to, let's do maybe, let's just do this. I don't know. Let's do the button here. So we can go over to our pages, product slug. Let's say I want to animate this buy button here. Actually, let's just do the span, just because it's a simpler example, and I'm going to tell you why. So the first step would be to just go here to the top and import something called motion from framer motion. Yeah, so the way you do that is go here to the top and say const. You have to import it differently for some reason in Next.js, otherwise it's going to error out. But import motion, const motion equals require framer motion. That's the way you have to do it. If you do it with import statement, it's going to error out. But essentially you import this motion tag here, and kind of the same way you're doing it with style div and style components, you pre-append a span here with motion.span. All right, motion.span, and adding this motion to it gives you a couple of different props that you can use this to animate. One of them being animate. So you can do animate equals to double curly brackets, and you can move the X or the Y position here. Let's say I want to move it down by, I don't know, like 500 pixels. All right, so if we take a look at that, quantity just bow, instantly jumps down. We can also define, so that's animate here. We can also define like an initial position. So maybe it should start off somewhere else. Maybe it's gonna start off X200. There we go, so it moves there. Well, there we go. We can also define the speed that it's going at. So I can add a comma here, and it's called transition. And this is going to be another curly brackets. And here we can define a duration of 2 seconds. So when it animates in, bam, it goes down in 2 seconds. We can also add a delay if we want, 1 second. So when we refresh, look at that, waits a second, and then it falls. Just a bunch of different fun stuff you can do with this, to be honest. But that's just a quick example of how it works. So I'm gonna change this back. We're not gonna be using it on the span. Let's go back. And we're gonna change this back to a span. Cool. And we're also gonna remove this import statement from here. Okay, so let's see, what should our first thing that we do be? How about this, right? Closing and opening this up. Let's fix that. So what we can do is head over to our cart. Components, cart. Okay, so basically the cart wrapper, I want to animate nicely in, fade in, and this one I wanted to slide in from the right side in. The problem is, well, this already has the styled div attached to it, so how do I do it? Do I do motion.cart wrapper? That's not gonna work. Well, thankfully, you can combine these two things together. So you don't need to add any code here. We can go directly to our cart styles, and we can go to the top here and import, let's do animation here, import motion from, sorry, const motion equals require motion. I keep confusing it because this is done differently. And what we can do is, rather than saying styled div here, we can do styled parentheses motion.div. All right, and that's gonna give it the styling as well as the ability to animate. It's in the docs. This is the way you do it, and it's nice because it keeps everything simple here when you do the animations. So now we can pretty much just copy this and give every div tag an animation. So just paste that over to all of them. There we go. That should be it. Oh, there's a couple more. This one and this one. I believe the checkout's the last one. Yeah. Cool. So everything is hooked up here to be animated. Now we can head over to our cart and let's give this a shot. So the cart wrapper, I'm just going to bring this down to a new line here. And on top here, I'm going to say animate equals opacity to 1. Hit save. Let's see if that works. Click. Doesn't really work. Why is that? Well, the opacity is already going to be 1. So we need to specify a starting position. So this is going to animate into opacity 1, but our initial starting position is going to be opacity 0. So before the component loads up, make sure it starts from 0 and transitions to 1. Look at that. That works. Nice fade in. How about that? Super simple and clean, huh? Lovely. So that's done. And then on the cart style here, I want a different animation. I want the initial position to be X 50%. So I want to move it off screen 50%. And then when we animate it in, I want it to come back to basically 0%, the position that's in right now. And look at that, boom. That's pretty cool, huh? Amazing. This default kind of easing that they give you can be a bit harsh, especially when you're moving this much around. So what we can do is either slow this down or change like this bounciness effect of it. And the way we can do that is go here and say transition. This is going to be a new property. Set this equal to and type. I think by default it's spring or something like that. We can change this to tween. This is going to just be a bit of a nicer, smoother slide in. It's up to you. If you want it differently, feel free to do it. I like this though. It's nice and smooth. Okay, and yeah, I mean, that should be it pretty much here. What I also want to do is, hey, when I add these items and I remove them, I want this to also fade in and animate in for us. So this empty style here, I want the initial to be, let's see, opacity 0. And then it kind of scales up a little bit. So the scale, we're going to scale it down a bit. And then it's going to animate in opacity 1. And scale is going to be 1. All right, so it gets bigger. So let's see. Boom. Now it's off screen a little bit, as you can see. That's fine. We're going to fix that as well. Actually, let's fix it now. Why is that behaving like that? Okay, so it seems like this left. So what's happening, I think, is we're animating the scale. If we click on this, see, it adds a transform of none. So it's going to remove the minus 50%. See? That's it, because we're doing transform scale. So it's gonna get rid of that. But we can get rid of this left 50 actually, because we're doing display flex align item center here. So just get rid of that property and that should fix it. Look at that. Let's take a look again. Remove, remove, boom. Maybe it happens a bit too fast, I'd say. It's up to you, but what I like to do is go back here, just add a bit of delay to it. Very, very sneaky delay. Transition, and we're gonna say equal to delay of 0.2 seconds, just a slight one. Let's see. Boom. There we go. That's much nicer. I like that. Perfect. So that's also nice and sorted. When I open this, I also want these little cards to animate in. That would be quite cool. So let's see how we can do that. Let's head over to our card right here. Tip, 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 new line, initial is gonna be equal to opacity 0. Scale is gonna be 0.8. Animate is gonna be opacity 1 and scale 1. Cool, and hit save. Now let's also add a delay to this, because when we add something and open it, see it kind of starts animating already in, you can barely see it. So let's add a bit of a delay to it. We can say transition, that's how you add your delay, is equal to, and here we can define a delay. Let's say delay 0.3 seconds. Doop. Boom. That's cool. Amazing. Let's view that again. Doop. Lovely. Perfect. All right, so that's it. One thing you might have noticed is that when I close this, it just instantly disappears, right? There's no fading out whatsoever. So what we can also define besides initial and animate and transition is something called exit, which, I mean, it pretty much does what you think it does. So exit, when the component gets unmounted and leaves, we can do opacity back to 0, right? From opacity 1 back to 0. And this card style on exit can, we'll move it back to 50%. Go back to where you came from. There we go. Hit save. So let's see. Doesn't work. Interesting. So by default, just adding this exit property is not going to do it. We need to import something specifically from framer motion that checks and detects every time a component leaves our state or leaves our DOM. So there's something called animate presence. All right, so what we need to do is let's go over to our nav. So here, basically, this is our check, right? We have a toggle, basically. If it's true, display the card. If it's not, remove it. So where you have your check, go here and import animate presence from, equals require framer motion. There we go. So basically where we have our toggle, we just wrap it in a animate presence. And now it's gonna detect when the component gets removed, and when it gets removed, it's gonna activate the exit property for us. There we go, look at that, that's so cool. Awesome, so there we go, that's it. We hooked up some animations. There's another little one I wanna do here. When we add the product to the cart, I want that to nicely pop in. So we're gonna do that in the next episode.